Hello and a very warm welcome. Thanks for tuning in to this special broadcast here on News9 Live. You're joining us from our studios here in the National Capital Region, and we have an exclusive story to be played out for you. Joining me here in the studio is my colleague and assistant editor for News9 Plus, Nivriti Mohan. Many thanks for joining with us, and we're also going to be joined by several experts as well, because this show, Poison in the Air, is going to delve into the unseen threats that are lurking in the very air that we breathe. In today's episode, we unravel the intricate web of pollutants, toxins, and environmental hazards that silently infiltrate our surroundings, posing a grave danger to our health. As our cities grow, so does the invisible poison that envelopes these cities. From the industrial emissions to vehicular exhaust, the air we depend on is under siege. But what are the hidden consequences of this assault on our atmosphere? Now, Delhi, it ranks 4th in the list of 50 most polluted cities in the world, according to the World Air Quality Report. And come October every year, Delhi turns into a gas chamber. What are the reasons for this air crisis, and why should you be worried, is something that we're going to be touching upon. Experts are going to be on the platform with us, decoding the problem with you. And what's more is that lung cancer is killing India's non-smokers as well. It's not just pollution that is the villain. Women and those under 50 are especially vulnerable, and they're falling prey in greater numbers than ever before. But with India, home to 63 of the world's 100 most polluted places, the calamity is already upon us. Our investigative journey takes us into the heart of air quality data, revealing shocking numbers and trends that demand immediate attention. Nivriti here in the studio has put out those exclusive documentaries as well, essentially understanding how does your city fare in the battle against air pollution, who should you turn to in these crisis times, and what is it that you can do. Ladies and gentlemen, we're going to be putting focus on these specific questions. Do stay on with us. Joining us on the broadcast is also going to be Dr. Arin Kumar, who's the chairman of Chest Surgery Institute. He's soon going to be with us. But before we take these questions and I start picking Nivriti's brain here as to what the data tells us, what does the statistics tell us, should we really be worried? Because come October, come winters, the first thing that we start talking about is graded reduction action plan, is to talk about how pollution there's an uptick in pollution, and our masks need to start coming out. Before all of this, take a look at the exclusive documentary that has been put out by our team. The first one, it's called Breathless, Poison in the Air. Are you ready to breathe in the truth?
Life begins at first breath. We take a breath every 5 to 6 seconds. A normal adult breathes 12 to 20 times per minute. That's approximately 23,000 breaths in a day. What if every breath you take kills you?
I'm Kazi. I'm originally from Nagina, which is in western part of Uttar Pradesh. I've been in Delhi for about 14 years.
Wear your mask. Let's go out. Okay.
चलो याया ने भी पहना है. Okay, good girl. Let's go. Come. Let's go.
Like the immediate impact on their health is very visible on the very first day when the haze was there. Both the kids were infected and they had allergies. They can have ailments all throughout their life from this short exposure. That scares me even more because like right now they'll just get cured and we'll feel okay about it, but then these particles, they get absorbed into your lungs, and some of them have carcinogenic properties as well. So that's really concerning. I mean, I feel really scared, like it's not just that as a parent I want the best for my kids, but this is something beyond my control, and it really worries me.
There's better livelihood here, there are better schools here for your children, but if health is the price that you're going to pay for a longer time, it's a bad trade-off.
The situation is quite alarming. Often we have said that this is almost like a health emergency, because this causes both short-term and long-term effects as far as not only the lung is concerned, but other parts of the body also.
Delhi, the reason why it is the way it is because it's landlocked, no influences of a coast. So there's no question of things being washed away, barring, for instance, a western disturbance which brings with it some, good weather, rains, etc. So the rains are the only possibility for Delhi, and right now there's no prospect of that. Of course, the Himalayas are there, and there is this cold front that kind of tends to descend from, the neighboring mountains, right? And that's exactly the reason why when that cold front descends, it literally traps. It's like a lid on top of the atmospheric layer that Delhi has, which just prevents everything from moving out of it. And when the winds become slow, right, it's literally not able to escape. So whatever is being emitted is here, and yeah, it's got the, look at it, Delhi's got as much road network as the entire state of Gujarat, right? Imagine that. That's the number of that's the road network we've got. The number of vehicles that we have. Growing up, I used to read that all the metros put together have lesser number of vehicles than Delhi. So we've basically, private mobility is huge. And you've got, and you effectively the earlier regulations that, took away industry from Delhi, situated them right outside the boundary, right, in the districts of NCR, which means that the pollution they're putting out is effectively, coming back.
This is a same story every year. There is a improvement in air quality since 2015, but now again the air quality is in severe category, and that happens every winter. Last year there was a La Nina phenomena, and because of that wind was faster, so air quality is improved. So we thought that air quality has improved in a longer term. But again we came back to 2021 situation where these 45 days from 20th October to 30th November are always a dangerous proposition for air quality in Delhi.
If you look at the fire count, which a lot of people are focusing on, the fires in Punjab, it's a lower level as compared to last year at the same time, cumulative as well as what would have happened in the same period last year, and yet the air quality is slightly worse than last year, and pretty much every other activity is probably at the same level or not. So which means that Met is that unknown entity, right? So the winds have gone calmer, right, and that boundary layer where the pollution mixes also come down, which means that it's not clearing as fast.
So if you look at the pollutants that we see, we are looking at what we call various noxious gases, sulfur dioxide, nitrogen, oxides of nitrogen, ground level ozone, and we're also looking at particulate matter. So these, when we inhale these pollutants, they cause irritation in the lung, they cause inflammation in the lining of the lung, the bronchioles and the bronchi, and also cause some degree of constriction in these airways, leading to breathing difficulty, chest tightness, and worsening of your respiratory problem, because it can lead to fall in oxygen saturation. But it can also lead to higher chance of heart failure, heart diseases, and more data suggests that it can even lead to a neurological problem like stroke. And there is also data which suggests that other organ involvement can also occur, because these small fine particulate matter go beyond the lung and enter the human circulation.
The big cuts, the first thing that comes to mind is transport, because Delhi is the capital of private vehicle ownership despite having a fantastic metro and a bus system that is probably the best in the country in some way, right, in terms of number of buses, we still find lots of single occupancy vehicles going through and the roads that enable it. Ultimately, unless we're able to sort of price private transport in a way that the people who are using it feel that this is expensive for me to use because it's imposing a cost on others and I'm having to pay for that cost eventually, we're not going to see significant improvement, because road transport, the emissions are unknown at this point, because real world driving emissions are only being understood in a better way in India in recent days.
We are taking really a lot of steps. GRAP, CAQM, and the local governments, they are all taking very good, very good. But then it is all confined in a Delhi city. The point is that we should work now in a A-shade mapping perspective. Delhi is equally affected by its surrounding regions, where we should extend our mitigation strategy, not concentrating only towards the city level, but in a A-shade level, which is about 150 to 200 meter surrounding Delhi, and that is where all these measures which are now taken in Delhi city need to be taken in a A-shade region. Then only a significant change will come up.
Well, you can catch the exclusive documentary on the News9 Plus application. You can download it on the Apple App Store or the Android Play Store. It's available on connected TV across the mediaverse, well, you name it. And these are precise, concise documentaries with a nuanced perspective in the time that you have. Do check it out once, of course. Now, joining us on the broadcast is, of course, Dr. Arin Kumar, who's Chairman, Chest Surgery Institute at Medanta. Very warm welcome to you, sir. And also joining us is Dr. Sanjeev Agarwal, former Additional Director for the Central Pollution Control Board. Gentlemen, do stay on with us. We've got Nivriti in the studio here. Let me talk to her first. Nivriti, you put out these documentaries and it's no news to anybody that come December we start talking about, come winters we start talking about air pollution, our masks start coming out again. We're worried about what the AQI index suddenly looks like. On the Google Trends, the word AQI starts trending come October. What does this statistics and the data tell us? Should we really be that worried? Because let me tell you, people outside, the traffic is still on, people are still venturing outside. Life is not going to come to a standstill, is it? So that's when we start talking about measures and how we can prevent, breathing in this toxic air. But right at the forefront, how worried should we really be? What does data tell us?
Look, Kabir, you're right in saying this, that we always start talking about air pollution when it is in extreme state. It crosses 400 mark, it crosses 500 mark, and then you're really worried and you start taking measures. But air pollution in Delhi, and especially in Indo-Gangetic plains, if you talk about the entire northern part of India, so it is always there. It is throughout the year. Okay, it is never in a state where we can say that the air quality is good, or it is satisfactory, or it is even moderate. It is always poor, but the poor is new normal for India now. So that is why we don't talk about it during the entire year when the pollution levels are high. But when it is extreme, then only we start talking about it. Like 63, as you have also mentioned, 63 out of the 100 most polluted cities in the world are in India, and the life expectancy, as per reports, is being reduced of Indians. And especially if we talk about Indo-Gangetic plains, that includes Delhi, Uttar Pradesh, Bihar. So in these places where 40% of the population of India resides, so the life expectancy of people is getting reduced by 7 years.
A lot of infants in the first few pictures that we saw, a lot of newborn babies at a very nascent stage. How difficult it must be for them as well.
Yeah, of course. I was talking when I did the documentary. I was talking to Dr. Arin Kumar as well. He was telling me that when a child is born and he takes his first breath, he is inhaling pollution which is equivalent to 15 to 16 cigarettes. So when a newborn is inhaling pollution equivalent to 15 or 16 cigarettes, and you can imagine when he reaches at the age of 20 or 30, how much of pollution has he inhaled, and he is inhaling something which is very, very carcinogenic. And in his report also, he has mentioned that the lung cancer due to air pollution has increased, and it is affecting women who are non-smokers, the people of young age who are non-smokers. So air pollution is getting lung cancer to people who are non-smokers also.
Well, I'll tell you what, Nivriti, and to the experts on the panel as well. Whenever I talk about this with my friends, the first thing they say is, "Isse badhiya to phir hum sab cigarette hi peena shuru kar dein." Also, this latest statistic that was put out across radio channels said that you're smoking up to about 30 plus cigarettes a day if you're breathing in the toxic air that is prevalent in the national capital. Dr. Agarwal and Dr. Kumar, do stay on with us. Meanwhile, take a look at this, ladies and gentlemen. Bengaluru, where chaos and innovation collide in a daily battle for mobility, traffic is the biggest black dot in this progressive city. We've also put out a documentary on that particular front, delves deep into the heart of Bengaluru's notorious traffic problem. Take a look at this teaser and we'll be back.
Bangalore traffic is an example of something that has gone wrong with our system.
We have more than 50 flyovers in Bengaluru city. If flyover is a solution to traffic problem, Bengaluru should not have traffic problem.
According to TomTom Traffic Index 2022, Bangalore is ranked as the second worst city in the world when it comes to traffic.
The speed limit at the ORR is 80 kilometers per hour, but our vehicle has only moved 10 kilometers per hour.
What Bangalore needs is a surgery, but what we have been offered repeatedly are band-aids.
Only on the world's first news OTT. News9 Plus, ahead of the curve.
You're watching News9 Live. I'm Kavi Naqvi. Joining me in the studio is my colleague and Assistant Director for News9 Plus, Nivriti Mohan. We're talking about poison in the air, rather poison in your air. And are you ready to breathe in the truth? Joining us on the broadcast is, of course, Dr. Arin Kumar, Chairman, Institute of Chest Surgery, Medanta, Gurugram, and Dr. Sanjeev Agarwal, former Additional Director for the Central Pollution Control Board. Dr. Arin Kumar, Nivriti was just talking about the nascent stages, the infants, how they're having to deal with the toxic air as well. Would you like to touch upon that facet? Some startling figures that might raise eyebrows in people that are watching this show. Perhaps, tell them about how this crisis is actually very grave and significant and they must not bat an eyelid.
First of all, thank you, Kabir and Nivriti, for having me on the show. And thank you very much, Nivriti, for carrying all the information that I have given to you and so succinctly you've mentioned. Kabir, Nivriti already answered that question. You talked about newborns. So I have been saying it repeatedly because this was one area that no one talked about. And when I started seeing lung cancer in people in late 20s and early 30s, I started wondering, why is it happening? And then when I went into depth of it, I realized that when a newborn is born and takes his or her first breath, you don't get any air from outside. It's the same air. Maybe a couple of hours you'll give oxygen, but after that, the child breathes the same air. So if your AQI, if your PM 2.5 is 250, 300, which is the norm in most of the parts of the country, and let me correct you, it's no more a Delhi or North India centric problem. 98% of the surface area of the country today suffers from this problem. So when these children born in any of the cities breathe that air, they start breathing the toxins. And polluted air has been accepted by WHO several years back as a class 1 carcinogen because it has the same cancer causing agents which are present in the cigarette or BD smoke. So when you start smoking because of air pollution from the first breath of your life, by the time you are 25, 30 years old, you've actually been taking in carcinogens for 25, 30 years. And that explains the reason why I'm seeing an increase in overall lung cancer. why I'm seeing lung cancer patients are coming at younger and younger age. So from 50s and 60s, 30 years back, now it's 40s, which is the peak age, 10% in 30s.
And that seems to be the
some
problem.
in
That seems to be the problem, Dr.
Yes.
Dr. Arin Kumar. You know, my apologies for cutting you short over there. For the viewers and for the benefit of the viewers, everybody's that watching it, what is it that you do personally to safeguard yourself against the perils of our toxic air in the national capital? What is it that you do?
Kabir, this question is asked every time I come on a show, that what do you do or what would you recommend to people to save themselves? And my answer is that if you are breathing in this air in any part of the country and you talk of saving yourself, rather than correcting the pollution, it is like somebody wearing a white safari suit, jumping into a dirty pond and asking, please tell me a method how I can continue to keep my safari white. Answer is not possible. Likewise, the answer to your question is, can I save myself? No. Can I save my children? My children were born in Delhi. They've been brought up in Delhi. And I worry so much about them because they have asthmatic tendency. So this is something you cannot avoid, because the only way you can avoid is to either you stop breathing or you clean the air which is there. If the air continues to be what it is, and if you continue to breathe 25,000 times a day, which an average adult does, there is no way that you can prevent these carcinogens and other chemicals from going into your lungs. Earlier, we all thought it is lungs.
Dr. Kumar.
Now we know that every part of the body is affected.
Dr. Kumar, if we go by your first, recommendation, which is to stop breathing altogether, then we've solved all problems, not just this one, haven't we? But let me take the same question.
I wish we could do that.
Yeah, I know.
And that's why I say that air pollution is different from water pollution. You know, if you are in a place where water is polluted, you can wait up to 5 days and be alive before you get clean water, and then you clean and keep yourself protected. So there it is possible. But here you cannot hold your breath.
Absolutely. Pertinent points that you made over there. Let me quickly cut across to the former additional director for the Central Pollution Board, Dr. Agarwal. Very warm welcome to you. Sir, I'm going to ask you, questions that don't necessarily bore you, because we don't want to go through the same rut of the same questions again and again. The graded response action plan, the measures that have been taken up by various institutions and authorities this time around in 2023, and what you've seen with the advent and the onset of winters and the onset of pollutions as well. Do you think that the efforts that have been put, they're enough? What the government has been done? And in no way am I trying to put you against the dispensation, but what is your personal viewpoint on what you're seeing outside and what you're breathing yourself?
Yeah, you see that the graded action plan has been implemented in 2023. What I observed that even we should go beyond the graded action plan. Whatever the Supreme Court has given the graded action plan, it is not enough to cater this problem. You see, every year this problem is very, very alarming, and due to the inversion, due to the temperature, low temperature, the pollutants are not, the cocktails of pollutants are toxic pollutants are not going dispersed, and that is the biggest problem. I just want to mention that this activities like vehicles movement, second activities like biomass burning, and third activities maybe the industrial pollution, and fourth activities is the basically the soil which is coming in the form of fine dust. We should have the pavements on the roadsides. So these four activities, if we stop, at least we can control the 50% pollution. We have worked out already 42 action plan to take in 2015, 2014. But still that implementing government, the local government like state agencies are not adequately implementing it. So this is the biggest problem. The cocktails, this basically in lower atmosphere, this chemicals may sometime go and take reactions, and anytime you can become you can say that it is a dust chamber because of the reactions.
No, you're
So
absolutely
these are
right,
the
Dr. Agarwal. But would you also like to touch upon the facet of, how industries are being collaborated with? Are there any sort of, programs where the government is collaborating with these institutions that are letting out this harmful waste? Any success stories on that front?
You see, industries, we have one success story, that is the thermal power plants. But it is not the solution basically. All the thermal power plants in the NCR, Delhi NCR, 300 square kilometer area, we have shut down. And Commission for Air Quality Management is trying that we should not use the coal, we should use something else which can emit low things, low pollution, low toxic air. But we are not looking into that, when the ACs are running, then lot of volatile organic compounds are coming out, which forms this toxic air in a such a way that it will become the poisonous, because the reaction in lower atmosphere may happen.
Okay. We're going to have to shift into a quick break over here. But before that, Dr. Agarwal, very quickly, in your experience, what do you think is the most challenging pollutant to tackle here? And we have too many. The list is expansive and non-exhaustive. But what do you think is the most challenging pollutant?
The most challenging pollutant is volatile organic compounds, which we cannot see by naked eye, and then we should take care about this, because this is coming out when we are running to air conditioner in your houses, in offices, which is unforeseen. Anytime it will happen, because this will form that climate change problem also. So that volatile organic compounds is the very, very important, which we are not looking into that.
I absolutely despise using this word, but it is a double whammy, it seems, because you need the air conditioners as well, but you know that there is a negative drawback over there as well. There is a COP28 that's happening somewhere, but all these big dignitaries are probably flying in their big jets and Gulfstreams to these COP summits, also contributing to the carbon footprint. We're going to slip into a quick commercial break here, ladies and gentlemen. On the other side, we've got Dr. Agarwal representing the Pollution Control Board, and of course a pulmonary doctor with us on the broadcast, with my colleague over here who's put out these exclusive documentaries with the right kind of data. Don't go anywhere.
BrahMos. Stealthy, lethal, precise. It flies at 3 times the speed of sound and cuts through a warship like a hot knife through butter. China's navy has threatened its neighbors, and they are turning to the BrahMos for protection. The Warship Killer. This and more streaming on world's first news OTT, News9 Plus. Download now.
With all this gear, you must be wondering if I'm climbing a mountain. Well, let me give you a wider look of this place. This is Asia's largest mountain of shame.
A mountain of waste, almost the height of the Qutub Minar.
When you enter capital cities of some of the biggest countries in the world, you don't have 3 garbage mountains waiting to welcome you, depending on whichever side of the city you enter from.
The thing is that a lot of times we talk about landfills only when there's a fire at the landfill. You need to understand that a landfill is at fire almost throughout the year. It's only when the firefighters are not able to douse the fire is when it actually catches the nation's attention, the city's attention, or media attention.
The towering landfills worsen one of Delhi's biggest problems: pollution.
यहाँ पर आप रात को आओ, दिन में आओ, आप 1 घंटे बैठ नहीं सकते बाहर। इतनी धूल, प्रदूषण, महक, आप खाना भी नहीं खा सकते बाहर बैठ के।
Life around the landfill is a curse.
हमारे घर में जो बड़े हैं उन्हें अस्थमा के वो पेशेंट है, आए दिन उनको नेबुलाइजर लगाना पड़ता है।
डॉक्टर ने भी मुझे ये चीज बोला कि यहाँ का एरिया छोड़ के कहीं और चाहिए।
Delhi's garbage mountains are now a fetid symbol of the national capital's trash problem. The question is, who is to be blamed? Watch Delhi's Garbage Mountains. Streaming on News9 Plus for the Gemflix.
China won't let us rest easy on our borders, but they will keep flooding our markets. What does Xi Jinping really want?
I think he wants the Indian market, no doubt about it. It's really a matter of showing their dominance.
India's great Chinese conundrum.
Nobody can contain it. Not the United States, not China, not anybody else.
Frenemies. This and more. Streaming on the world's first news OTT, News9 Plus. Download now.
Welcome back. You're watching News9 Live. You're watching this special broadcast called Poison in the Air. I'm joined by my colleague Nivriti Mohan, Assistant Director, News9 Plus. Also with us is Dr. Sanjeev Agarwal, who's the former Additional Director for the Central Pollution Control Board. A very warm welcome. Thank you for staying on with us. We also had Dr. Arin Kumar with us, but it seems like he had some operation theatre duties. He can't hold a man against his own duty. He had to rush into the operation theatre. Here's wishing him a successful surgery on that front. Meanwhile, coming back to the topic at hand, you know, Nivriti, you've put out not just these two documentaries. I remember you putting out an exclusive, investigative piece on how there is poison on your plate as well. You know, how there is water pollution. Through water pollution, you get vegetables that have all those toxins inside them. In terms of this particular documentary and the poison that we're breathing that is in our air, there is a direct correlation with the uptick in cancer cases, something that Dr. Kumar was also talking about. What does data tell us on that particular front? Should youngsters, vulnerable people, who fall into the category of vulnerable people in this particular front, essentially?
Yeah, if we talk about, yes, you were talking about poison on your plate. Of course, the factors that are responsible for air pollution and water pollution, because of pollution in Yamuna, your vegetables are getting affected, and industrial pollution is responsible for that. And industries are also emitting pollution in the air. So it is also related to air pollution as well. It is one of the factors. So when I spoke to Dr. Arin Kumar, when I made the documentary Air Apocalypse, so he was talking about some figures, and the figures were really shocking. It said that half of the lung cancer patients, especially we attribute lung cancer to smoking generally, right? And most of the lung cancer patients are were the people who smoke. But now this has changed. He was telling us that 50% of the lung cancer patients were non-smokers now. And also women, 30% of lung cancer patients that came to Medanta, to his hospital. So 30% of women also who were non-smokers were found to be lung cancer patients. And the age of getting lung cancer has also reduced. So if we talk about earlier, we used to have lung cancer at the age of 60, 70 years of age. But now lung cancer is happening at the age of 50 years. 20% of lung cancer patients were below 50 years of age. Then 10% of lung cancer patients were below 30 years of age, below 40 years of age. And 2.5% of patients were below 30 years of age. So it is happening in your 20s, it is happening in your 30s, it is happening in your 40s, which didn't happen before.
And this is quite criminal.
These are all non-smokers. Can you believe it? It is all, they're all non-smokers. Lung cancer happening in non-smokers is something like you cannot imagine it. What is causing it? The air pollution, the carcinogenics, around there is a list of around 200 pollutants that are carcinogenic.
Wow.
So all these pollutants are.
So you're basically breathing in cancer. I mean, Dr. Agarwal, isn't this criminal? I mean, you've got newborn babies that are getting affected. You've got the younger population that is getting affected. I mean, not saying that we must not look at the fact that, you know, the older generation, the senior citizens are, of course, downrightly getting affected by this as well. But this is straight up criminal. What happens in a situation of non-compliance? Give us a sense of how the government or the Central Pollution Control Board deals with non-compliance. Because to the outside world, to the layman outside, it's a simple challan. It's a simple challan to the person who hasn't gotten his PUC checked. It's a simple challan for somebody who's violating these particular rules. But is there more than what meets the eye? How far and how long will a simple challan go?
You see, we have to move tragically. Basically, everybody, first of all, everybody blames to each other. And one thing I just want to mention that first we have to find out why this is the cause. The cause means air pollution cause, and then we should move it. We should move strategically, saying that there are maybe a variety of sources, but we should pick up the prominent sources which are giving this in winter season, which gives this particular problem. So I would say that we should not go for biomass burning, not at all. We should immediately stop. One thing, maybe this involves the stubble burning, maybe this involves the municipalities which they are burning this biomass. Even the waste to energy plants, they are also generating huge amount of toxic air. So secondly, we should not allow that basically that vehicle movement. As already mentioned by me several times, that these are the things like I can see smoke spreading the smoke, basically spreading that water. It is a simple solution which cannot resolve it. The problem cannot resolve it immediately.
You're saying the problem is pretty much too complex, and these measures that have been put out are very simple.
Yeah, very much complex. So second, this point, third point is that I was repeatedly telling in several years that the Public Works Department should first stop that emission of soil, fine soil, which is coming out from the pavements or roadsides, because resuspension of dust is the major problem.
Okay. Okay.
And then the black carbon which is coming out, basically CFC, chlorofluorocarbons, is very, very important, as I mentioned. Volatile organic compounds. So chlorofluorocarbons are basically very, very important. They are contributing in the climate change. So I think we should go for. We are very, very far. We are much behind on this particular problems. We are not approaching the right approach. Means we are not taking the right approach to control the pollution in air. Because you can see that in Beijing, I have visited in Beijing 2016, they have controlled a lot. They have done everything, but why not Delhi?
What is it that we can pick up from what they're doing over there? I know that Beijing and New Delhi on diplomatic terms don't necessarily look each other in the eye, but what is it that we can learn from Beijing and implement here in the national capital?
Yeah, we should not wait for another world disaster where these poisonous cocktail gases can anytime convert in methyl isocyanate. So that methyl isocyanate, which killed just madam now, right now, editor madam was telling, kill the even youngsters, even kill the elders. So we should not wait for that. We should thoroughly take up the implementing part, basically that control part or implementation of the local agencies, which should immediately take up.
All right. Nivriti, let's also touch upon a little bit on the success stories over here, because I don't want to create a panic in the people, because they will have to get up tomorrow in the morning and the day after that and the day after that, get down to their work, keep going, carry on with their lives. Nobody can not get out of their house. So are there some success stories on this front as well? You've been, traveling at so many places, from the mountains to the banks of Yamuna River, getting us stories from how we're putting poison on our plate and the poison that we're breathing. Any success stories over there as well?
Look, as far as air pollution is concerned, when I was doing a documentary, so I spoke to various patients who were lung cancer patients actually, because of, we cannot directly say that it was because of air pollution, but the patients who were non-smokers.
All right.
But they fought it out, and as soon as they got to know that they are suffering with cancer, they went to the doctor and got the proper medication done, got the operation done, and took medicines, and they fought it out. But yes, there are people, there are non-government organizations who are working on this front as well. There are doctors as well who are working on this front and guiding people what to do during the days when the pollution is extremely high. But still, there, as Dr. Arin Kumar also told us, that the pollution levels are so high that even if we take all the precautionary measures, it will be difficult to tackle it entirely. You cannot avoid pollution entirely. But what you can, what you can do is
minimize
to an extent.
Minimize the harm of it.
Minimize.
To an extent. What are some of those measures that can be taken up? We know that we can wear a mask and
but
not
a
step
normal
out
mask won't be working, so you need to have some N95 mask which will prevent most of the pollutants from getting inside.
How soon before everybody in the national capital starts wearing those military grade masks? I mean, that's going to be a but necessary when we move out. It might just be a fashion statement in the days to come.
If we fail to work, it might be very soon, Kabir. So it is high time that the government starts working. It is high time that the people, general public starts working on it, because we are at some place, we are also responsible for polluting our cities through our vehicles. We don't get the pollution tests of our vehicles done sometimes, and we don't switch our vehicles off when we are standing on a red light for more than a minute. So all these things we also do. We also need to do our part, instead of asking the government, the other people, the authorities to do what they have to do. Of course, they need to do something about it, but first of all, we also need to be very, very
100%.
responsible.
Absolutely. That's a very crucial point that Nivriti has put out there. To everybody that's watching this show right now, the onus also falls on you. Before you point the finger on somebody else, the government institution or the Central Pollution Control Board, or how the Kejriwal dispensation isn't doing the work right, how the municipal corporation must pull up its socks, we must also personally pull up our socks. But it then becomes a very sketchy affair. You must tread very carefully, because then you are bound to be called a hypocrite in this situation as well. Let me ask the expert on the panel, Dr. Agarwal. Of course, in the dangers of being called a hypocrite yourself, what are 3 things that you think people should start doing to curb pollution, and 3 measures that people should take up to safeguard themselves from pollution?
You see, the very first thing is that still I feel that people are not aware. Basically, awareness has to be done. First thing. Second thing is that we should go for now the dilution in the pollution, like more trees, plantation of more trees, so you will get the fresh air, you can breathe fresh air. Although the terrain of Delhi is very, very important, because when the air is not moving, then the situation will become like 2-3 years ago. There is a smog formation, SMOG smog formation due to the reaction. So that should not happen, because smoke formation, once it is there, then like London smoke, people will die. So I think that should we should be very careful. And I think the control of pollution and various sources, very important. Pick up 4-5 important sources and then control it immediately. So I think some 50% relief you can get it.
All right. And in terms of the measures to safeguard yourself?
Yeah, definitely. To safeguard ourselves, we should not in the evening time and in the morning time. We should not go out from the home. Should we stay back in the home? Whatever the work you want to do, you could please carry out in the at home, so that at least you will not be exposed to the toxic air.
No, you're absolutely right. Many thanks, Dr. Agarwal. Do stay on with us. Nivriti, some of those points that Dr. Agarwal was mentioning, and a lot of gym goers, a lot of runners, a lot of fitness enthusiasts that are still not stopping. I see them, running, cycling early in the morning, in the middle of pollution. In the evening, there are late night football games that are happening in the national capital. All of that continues to go on. In terms of campaigning and awareness, something that Dr. Agarwal was talking about. How far are we? I mean, we're 4th in the list of the top 50 most polluted cities. Are we ever going to come out of this list?
Now that question is has to be put to the authorities, to the government.
But in terms of the awareness and campaigning level that you saw on the ground, where do we stand?
Like Dr. Agarwal has also said, there is a dearth of awareness in the general public, if you say. That is why, as you were mentioning, that people are still going for a walk, still the sky is full of smog, but we can still see people going out for a walk, doing jogging and all. But this is really going to affect them in a long run. You may not feel that it is hampering your health, it is affecting your health right now at this point, but the toxins, as I told you, 200 plus toxins are there that may cause lung cancer to any person, to a healthy person also, and even a small exposure of these toxins for a long term is carcinogenic. So first thing that all these people who are not paying heed to the advisories which are put by the authorities, that you should not be going out, especially in early morning, because when the smog is very high, they should actually pay heed to all these advisories, because otherwise it is going to affect your health, and a long term exposure to these carcinogens can affect you, and it can cause you cancer.
Well, you heard the environment journalist on the broadcast, and you've also heard the expert, the former additional director for the Central Pollution Control Board. You know what, Dr. Agarwal, even before we wrap this segment up, and I thank you, there's one last question that I did want to ask you, and just a brief answer on this. You spoke about biochemicals, the biomass burning. That shouldn't be done. I mean, bio, that word, it just sounds so positive. Biofuels, biochemicals, biomedicines. Why are you against this one particularly? I mean, we've got the Kejriwal dispensation that's come out categorically saying that we've opened up this Poos Institute, we've opened up this institute. Biomass fuel is going to be burnt over here. Why are you against it particularly?
Why? Because you see, the biomass burning is when we have the incomplete combustion. The lot of chemicals, intermediate chemicals are coming out during that burning. Because I myself was in the field 23 years ago. I found that the huge burning was going on in the field. When stubble burning is going on in the field, is a huge burning, and then huge chemical toxic pollutants are coming out. So this burning should not be happen, because when you put it in the ground, you can make that anything else, but everything else, but you should not burn it. Burning is the biggest problem.
Okay. All right. On that note, well, ladies and gentlemen, it's time for all of us to pull our socks. Yes, Dr. Agarwal.
Volatile organic compounds are especially coming out when you are doing the burning.
Okay. Well, a scientific opinion on that. We had the doctor explaining to us what you shouldn't be doing, what you should be doing. And of course, Nivriti right here. All her documentaries are available on the News9 Plus application. And even as we wrap this show up, coming up next is a News9 Plus special by Nivriti to decode how lung cancer is killing India's non-smokers when pollution is the main villain. Take a look at this. This is Kabir Naqvi signing off. Lots more continues right on the other side. Don't.
The scale of the attack was something that we were surprised at. The LET, it was a kind of, we were called a joint venture of the LET and Pakistan. Interception of communications which took place during the attack confirmed this. My advice to Mr. Manmohan Singh at that point, when he asked me what are the kinds, was that till we were sure there's nothing that we could do. Bombing was certainly not even contemplated at that time. I think I've been probably the longest